If Chris Lawrence has been our resident soldier medical advocate, then Sergeant Andrew Chambers has been our advocate for the improvement of our courts in handling the veterans who've become all too familiar with our legal system.
There's several veterans here. I've got 3 on my block alone. My cellie's a veteran. He was in Iraq. And I think all in all we've got, that I know of, 17 Iraq or Afghanistan veterans. September 11th happened, and I made up my mind that I was going to serve this country. I spent one more Christmas with my family, and then I left 2 days later. Basically, our job to find and neutralize the roadside bombs prior to detonation. I was a turret gunner, so I hang out at the top of the Humvee holding the 50 cal and wait for it to go down. So essentially we drive around looking for trouble. We 15 miles an hour down the road, looking at the side of the road, looking for changes. If you see where a spot's been dug, then try to investigate it, see if there's a bomb buried there. You just try to keep moving. I've been on Operation Trailblazer. I was hit by an ID that knocked us on 2 wheels and came back down on all 4, luckily, but I thought we were going to tip. Dead animals on the side of the road, tires, trash, anything they can hide a bomb in.
Sergeant Chambers is currently incarcerated, and like many decorated combat vets, he saw intense action.
We called it Black Easter. Fallujah was crazy. Our battalion commander calls the whole battalion out to have a meeting. Gives us his speech, long speech. You're going to the eye of the storm, and we may lose people. And a real motivating speech, like off a movie. I took a lot of casualties. We took a total of 7 casualties in my group, 1 casualty in my platoon, and 3 in my company. A good friend of mine lost his leg. My lieutenant was killed in action.
It's a little-known fact that 61% of all veterans in state or federal prison have received an honorable discharge.
Yeah, I received a full honorable discharge, Army Service Ribbon, National Defense Service Medal, Ohio Basic Combat Training Ribbon, Army Commendation Medal with 1 oak leaf cluster, which means I was issued it twice, Ohio Army War Medal number 2, Armed Forces Reserve Medal with Meritorious Device, Ohio Foreign Service Ribbon, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, Outstanding Service Ribbon. I believe that was the presidential unit citation from the assault on Fallujah. Combat Lifesaver Badge, Combat Driver Badge, Combat Action Badge. That's what I'm most proud of. It's for engaging the enemy in combat. The next day, I didn't think he was going to call the police. I felt like it was a bad situation. I made some bad decisions, but I didn't think he was going to call the police. Next day, I see my picture on the news, armed and dangerous, approach with caution. They charged me with attempted murder, felonious assault, aggravated robbery, 2 felony 1 kidnappings, 1 felony 2 kidnapping for the people that were in the room with him, disrupting public services, and tampering with evidence.
However, not all veterans who suffer with TBI have major legal troubles. But even a minor TBI can lead to infractions that derail our veterans' return to society. Our unique opportunity to examine both the extreme case of Sergeant Chambers, along with the less harrowing but still challenging troubles of combat veteran Curtis Armstrong, allowed us to compare their contrasting views.
And I decided to drive home with a friend of mine. And then about a mile away from where I lived, on a back road, I got pulled over. And then being a military police in the Army for so long, but I got charged with a DUI. And I remember waking up the next morning like, wow, I can't even believe that even happened. Because I've had a few speeding tickets in my day, but I've never really been in trouble. Kind of humiliating, kind of an eye-opener. So I had to call a lawyer, and find out, what was this going to do to me? Especially just getting out of the Army. Like, I don't know how that was going to affect me getting a job in the future, or, was I going to, jail time? I didn't know how any of that works.
On their post-deployment health assessments, military service members report alcohol problems at a rate of almost 12%. Many of those we interviewed, though, felt vets are too embarrassed to admit that they even need help. Most may not even know that they have a problem until it's too late.
I had a public defender. At the time, my family really couldn't afford a lawyer. I tried to get a medical evaluation so I could get on some type of medicine, but never got one in the county jail. So eventually, I just pled out. I had to get out of there. I pled guilty to felonious assault because I am guilty of felonious assault. And I pled no contest to the other charges.
At the courthouse, the probation officers came and they called everybody and they pulled us aside. And they had a small meeting. They were like, hey, we want to tell you about this new veterans court. And I was like, veterans court? I mean, that sounds, I'd never heard of anything like that before. And then after that, we go into the probation room. Well, there's about 4 or 5 of us there that day. And they're like, all right, this is this new veterans court. We understand that you guys have a little bit of a different background, different, things you might be going through, and we want to be able to, help you guys out case by case.
When I walked into the courtroom, cuffed and shackled, my family's there. Some friends of the family was there. Everybody's crying. My lawyer requested 5 years so that 5 years or less so that I could be eligible for judicial release at some point. He stated my military record and said that I was less likely to reoffend.
There's a lot of the veterans that were going to like anger management classes and post-traumatic stress counseling sessions that they'd never even been to or never even knew was available. Or these programs, like for anger management, for instance, that wasn't covered through the VA or anything like that. These guys either had to pay out of pocket, take time off work, all this to do these programs to get off probation or whatnot, and they just weren't able to do it. But with this veterans court, I saw guys that were able to do these courses without paying out of pocket. There was lawyers that were working pro bono. They're helping out these guys who some didn't have jobs.
Yeah, to my knowledge, there was no veterans court, and I didn't even know that a veterans court existed. I was never given the option. I've never even heard that.
With the average state prison sentence of veterans being reported as 2 years longer than non-veteran offenders, more and more legal professionals, judges, and lawmakers are seeing a need for a special court to handle the issues of combat vets.
So many veterans that are coming home, are honorable people who've served and sacrificed for their country, but they come home and they're having issues.
Well, the first court started in Buffalo, New York, about 2008. The judge there, Judge Russell, who was running a drug court and a mental health treatment court, realized that that wasn't sufficient to deal with veterans. They had their own unique problems.
But the first problem I encountered was none of the judges, none of the prosecutors, none of the defense attorneys, no one asked if somebody had a military background. So how can you treat a vet if you don't even know they're a vet?
Well, before, veterans were never really identified in the criminal justice system. We just started about a year ago, and we were amazed at the number of veterans that we have in the system, that nobody ever asked about their status.
I served in the Army as a recon scout in late 80s, early 90s. My service primarily was on the DMZ in Korea. It didn't take me long to realize how many combat veterans we had in the criminal justice system. And at that time in the late 90s, when I was starting out as a lawyer, it was Vietnam veterans primarily, who still 30 plus years after their war were still dealing with psychological issues from their war that were bringing them into the criminal court system.
Of the homeless population in America, 23% are veterans. 89% of those have received honorable discharges.
Many, many, many of our homeless are Vietnam veterans. And so it's not just that we need to treat the new veterans. We have an obligation to treat some of the older veterans that we've never properly diagnosed or recognized.
And it's going to get more important because there have been over 1 million troops deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, other places, and now they're going to be coming back and they're going to need help because 20–30% of them are going to have some kind of problems to deal with.
These people don't belong in jail or in prison. They need treatment, they need help. And what the Vets Court does is it surrounds them with the kind of support that they need in order to get better.
Fortunately, the Veterans Treatment Court and the Veterans Administration is trying to get ahead of that problem.
The VA has its mission now to actually go out and proactively identify veterans who need to get treatment and to try to get them into treatment, but that is a very tough mission to accomplish. And so the idea is to use the criminal justice system as that way, one of the ways to identify a veteran. And we recognize that very often that first cry from help for a veteran comes from the back seat of a squad car or from the jail cell. This is where they start to wake up and realize, hey, this isn't me.
So that kind of gave birth to the movement that we're in now with the Veterans Courts.
Veteran is a different type of offender. I'm not saying that we should not be subject to the same laws, but if you are considering rehabilitation, a veteran is less likely to recommit an offense. We're more likely to learn our lesson.
As more veterans struggle with the transition back into civilian society and find themselves facing legal issues, intervention solutions must be offered to prevent these men and women from slipping through the cracks of the justice system. Youngstown, Ohio recently joined the list of cities across the United States to create a Veterans Court. And like attorney Brockton Hunter, Judge Robert Milich has a unique insight into the mind of a veteran.
Here in Youngstown we have the Veterans Court that just started up, and Judge Milich is doing a great job. I mean, he's a veteran, so he understands what these young people are going through because he went through this himself.
Well, I spent 28 years in the military myself, and I know the warrior mentality. You're trained to accomplish the mission.
You know, these people are coming out of a warrior culture that has trained and conditioned and hardened them to believe that they should be able to handle anything.
And you carry that warrior mentality the rest of your life. And that's one of the things we have to deal with and get through, because that stops a lot of military from seeking help.
When they start to suffer from the all too predictable side effects of that intense combat, they don't want to believe that they can't handle it on their own.
I don't need help. I've been on my own, I've been independent, I've been trusted with all these resources from the federal government, I've been trusted with other people's lives. I can do it myself. When you get back into civilian life, there's got to be a transition there, which I don't think is presently available. It may take up to a year to train a combat infantryman. He comes back, he might have a month.
And unlike many other wars, they don't know who the enemy is. So they're at a constant level of stress for 12 to 15 months at a time, 2 or 3 or 4 deployments at a time. Our body, our minds are not meant to handle that level of stress. Stress is meant for an immediate situation, fight or flight. But when your body goes through that basically for a year at a time, and then you're home for a year, and then back and your body is in that situation again for a year, you begin to, you have a level of debilitation.
Most of the people that we see in a Veterans Court had no problems before they went overseas, before they went to Afghanistan or Iraq. They were not drug users, they weren't violent, they weren't having temper problems, they weren't having hypersensitivity, all those medical issues that you see.
And so these kids don't need to go into a prison where they're going to have to deal with more stuff.
They've slipped up and they've made mistakes and they acknowledge that, but we have to help them get back to where they need to be, and I think that that's what the Veterans Court is going to do.
Cure the cause that got them into the courts in the first place. Look at what is it? Is it traumatic brain injury? Is it post-traumatic? Is it anger management? Is it depression? And then treat the whole person so that they don't become a statistic in the criminal justice system.
And it isn't about a get-out-of-jail-free card for veterans just because they served our country. It's about using the justice system as an effective intervention tool to get them the help that they need, to get them back on track so that they can live the life that they deserve to live, that their family deserves to have them back and home.
I want other veterans to know that this can happen to anybody. I wasn't a bad apple. I was Battalion Soldier of the Year in Iraq. I made rank after 4 years. I was a sergeant. If you ask the guys I was overseas with, when the bullets start flying, there's nobody you would want besides you more than me. I'm not a bad apple, but this still happened to me. So I really want veterans to know it can get out of control quick.
And the vets courts take these kids and recognize that this is a mental health issue, this is an addiction issue. These kids, these vets need to deal with what they have just gone through, and they need to deal with it in an environment that is compassionate to their needs, not thrown in a prison, locked the key because they got in a bar fight because they just got home from Iraq 2 days ago.
Even if I could just get one veteran to be like, you know what, I'm gonna go to the VA, or I'm gonna get some counseling, or I'm gonna quit drinking, or if I can just change one veteran's life, it'll be worth it to me.